to talk a little bit about more of a niche market with selling and decorating specifically for fitness apparel and athletic apparel using reflective finishes and other heat transfer vinyl as well, and different ways you can print these items. And so the athletic and the fitness industry has really expanded what we see offered as far as with the industry just going more towards people that want to be fit and want to be able to identify with that lifestyle. And so what we find is that a lot of people are buying custom t-shirts in this method. They're buying a lot of event t-shirts and attending a lot more runs and walks. We're seeing a lot more opportunity in general with event printing, and we want to talk about how we can capitalize on all of this using different heat transfer materials. And so throughout today's class, I'm going to be using a heat press and some different heat transfer materials. All of the ones I'll be using in the class today are going to be cad-cut materials. So there's multiple types of reflective that you can purchase. These were all cut on a vinyl cutter and weeded away. So if you have a vinyl cutter, you can custom cut all of these designs. If you don't have a vinyl cutter, it's incredibly easy to get all of these reflective designs cut for you from a company like Stahls, and you're able to still reach these markets. You may just want to go more towards stock designs or more towards designs where you can order in bulk like that, so that way you're able to cut your cost. We'll also look, so that's kind of a standard reflective. It's just a silver basic reflective manufactured by a company called 3M. We see the 3M Scotchlite Reflective material mostly used for ANSI certified markets. So we see it obviously a lot if you're selling to municipalities or police, EMS, fire departments, or anybody in that market that needs those ANSI certifications. In my experience in the industry, it's also one of the most user-friendly if you're cutting it yourself on the vinyl cutter. It has a sticky backing, so it allows you a lot more flexibility and detail than you may see with other more economy reflective materials. But again, you're going to pay for a little bit higher cost because it's got the special glass beads in it that allow you to have that ANSI certification. We're also going to look at some color reflectives, so some products like a Fashion Reflect that's actually priced more of an economy reflective product, but you'll find that you're able to actually get that reflective tendency on a lot of athletic apparel without compromising the color. So you can still keep brand logos for fitness companies or events, still in their logo, but adding that little bit of reflective to it, and with car lights and things like that to keep people safe. And it comes in a variety of colors as well. We'll be showing that throughout the class, as well as some other heat transfer products. So there's a few options you have when selling or decorating with reflective finishes. I'm going to head over to the heat press so we can start printing some of these looks and really talk through them here today. So for the class today, I'm going to be using the Fusion heat press. I have it set for all of the materials that we'll be printing today, but I want to start with the most basic, which for me is the custom t-shirt market. There's a lot of opportunity whether you're selling some stock saying designs or creating completely custom designs and being able to sell into that market for people. And we'll talk a little bit later throughout today's class about ways to sell these items and way to find customers if you're not currently selling into the fitness or the athletic market. So I'm going to load my tank top directly onto the heat press platen here. Once I have that completely loaded, I'll preheat to get some of the moisture and wrinkles out. And then we can line up our heat transfer. And so I'm lining up my 3M design. And I'm going to sub from the tank top about 2 inches down from the top of the shirt, so we're able to get that in the right position. Anytime you're printing tank tops, something like this, you'll notice I'm printing a razorback tank. So I wanted to make sure I'm able to get rid of any print through that I can see through the tank top. And so when you move to these types of garments, this is where that threadability that you get from a heat press like the Fusion, or being able to separate those layers with something like a heat printing pillow, helps you get a flat, even surface across the item and no print through from the back of that razor tank. Cover this up with my cover sheet just to protect the transfer in the item. And I'll press for the recommended application. So it's very quick and easy to create custom designs with 3M Reflective, which is what I'm using here, vinyl cutter, and your heat press. I've applied this for 10 seconds down at 320 degrees. And I can go ahead and peel the carrier back. So if you have customers that are willing to run for donuts, being able, the fitness industry right now is actually really big with unique sayings, funny sayings. Everybody has something that motivates them, and so this one kind of capitalizes on that experience, being able to run from donuts. And even on the screen here, you're picking up not only the metallic thread, but you're also seeing some different finishes and stuff as well on the item. And so I'll set this over to the side. And I'll load on a different t-shirt to kind of show a different market or another opportunity, and a different reflective as well. And so for this one, I'm just taking a basic, actually cotton polyester blend t-shirt. And so both of the reflective materials that you'll see me use today can use both a 100% cotton, 100% polyester, some blend of products, as well as lycra, spandex, nylon. So when we think about the way that the industry for athletic and fitness apparel is changing, these allow you to pretty much stick these products on any of the garments that you come across. And so for this material, I'm using the Fashion Reflect product, and also using cad-cut Premium Plus. So I've got multiple products here that I'm going to be using. When it comes to lining up and layering multicolor designs like I have here, I often will line them up together, especially on a shirt like a V-neck, so I don't go too far below, and I know that my design is going to be centered and everything's spaced out correctly before I press my bottom layer. The reason I'm going to press the Fashion Reflect product first is simply because it needs a two-step application. You'll see that as I use it throughout the class. So I can tack this down for 5 seconds, and then when I line up my second color of my Premium Plus, it'll get its full application. So that helps to speed it up. If you're doing multicolor with Fashion Reflect, always put that down first as long as you can with the way your design is layered. And so I'm going to apply my Fashion Reflect for 5 seconds at 305 degrees and a medium pressure. It's also a warm peel, so I'll give it a few seconds to cool down. Now, if you've experienced Premium Plus, which is going to be the heat transfer vinyl that I'm using in green, that's going to attach to this as well and create kind of a two-color design with some reflective elements, you may know that Premium Plus actually applies as low as 280 degrees, but is upwards of 320 degrees. So I can leave that heat press at 305 and then apply everything together. To peel back my carrier here. I'm going to grab a carrier there. You'll notice using the Fashion Reflect or any economy reflective product, so if you just want to use an inexpensive reflective product, it's silver, you'll notice they have more of a paper backing to them. So you want to be careful when you peel them that you're not doing a whole lot of stretching to the item, and that's why I usually peel kind of low and kind of hold the garment so I'm not getting a lot of stretch and maneuvering there. So I've got my Fashion Reflect down onto the item. And then I'm going to line up my top design here. Cover with a cover sheet. And press for Premium Plus's full recommended application. So that's going to be a total of 8 seconds. The Fashion Reflect needs only 5 extra seconds, so it'll ensure it gets enough durability to stay down to the garment, and then we've got the full 8 seconds for Premium Plus. Give Premium Plus a couple of seconds to cool down there since it's a warm peel also. I'm usually a little impatient, so I guess this is more of a hot peel if you're thinking about warm peels versus hot peel products. Especially when I'm up at a little higher temperature at 305 degrees. Go ahead and see if I can get it pressed down one more time and reheat it up. It seems to be sticking a little bit there for me at this higher temp. Alright, so we'll give that a second to cool down there. I'll set this over to the side. And then while that's cooling, we'll let it cool completely. I want to start to talk about more markets that we can reach with this type of product. And so we've looked a little bit at custom t-shirts. We've looked at some designs for printing and selling to different marathons and different markets like that. I think our design's about cooled down here. So I'll press this last, or cover this last, or show you this last one here. So here we're getting a nice multicolor effect with Premium Plus. Now you're probably looking at my design here thinking, it looked like a lot of waste there. I don't want to have that big space in the middle. You could certainly gang your designs up on the carrier sheet if you don't need the placement and you're going to manually place them both and get rid of all this space and cut some costs. So I've seen decorators do it both ways. If you're obviously want to cut your costs and keep them as low as possible, the manual layout may be the better way. If not, you just include that cost for the entire design in both materials whenever you're pricing out your design. So here we have a 2-color design with the 13.1, focusing on the half marathon. And when I start to print a lot of these race shirts, you can even add reflective to smaller placements on the back of the shirt. So if you just want to offer a little bit more inexpensive option for reflective, maybe you're going to screen print the full front for 100 or 500 marathon shirts, but you want to add something extra for a little bit of reflective. Maybe it's an evening race or something that's going to be early morning where there's low light conditions. I can easily add this runner's foot on the back here. I'll just tack it for 5 seconds with Fashion Reflect. Give it a couple seconds to cool down. And then I can peel back the carrier here and then just cover that up for 5 extra seconds. Always important to make sure you cover whenever you repress this for the second time, or you're going to end up with a design stuck to your heat press. So that's always important there. And so this color of the black reflective, again, has that retro reflective beading into it, so you're able to get that metal or that silver reflection that you're looking for whenever it shines in the light. And then pair that with the front design here where we created just a half marathon design. And we're starting to see a lot of runners even choosing custom t-shirts like this for when they run at races or just for their own memorabilia to be able to have items and custom shirts as well. So that's an opportunity for you to sell more custom apparel. Okay, so now that that one's done, let's go back to new markets and different things we can reach. We've talked a few times in Stahls TV classes, if you've attended them, about being able to print for fitness apparel. And so taking items like a higher end jacket like this and selling them to maybe fitness companies or personal trainers. And so for this design, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a design mixing and matching, again, Premium Plus with a complementing color to the front of the design or the front of the shirt, and a little bit of reflective, because we see a lot of boot camps and things showing up maybe for fitness trainers or personal trainers. So this would be an opportunity for you to take their logo that may be black and green and still offer a reflective that keeps their colors to their brand true. And it also adds that little bit of reflective lighting. And so I'll talk a little bit later today when we talk about selling this type of product. But instead of just doing a black and red screen or a black and green screen print or heat transfer on this shirt, I'm adding a little bit of reflective and giving them the ability to have some safety. So if they're doing early morning boot camps, maybe outside, maybe they're running with their clients outside, or doing different types of training programs, this helps to give them that ability to have that extra safety. And so I'm going to line up my design on the back here, going about 5 inches down from the collar of my shirt, which is a good placement for the back of the design. Again, I'm going to apply my Fashion Reflect first, just like I did for my other multicolor design. Tack that for 5 seconds. Give it a few seconds to cool down before I peel back the other part of the design. And now I can inlay my Premium Plus part of the logo, cover it up since I have that exposed, and press the whole thing for Premium Plus's application at 8 to 10 seconds. I'll give Premium Plus a few seconds to cool down before we complete that look, but you're seeing right now, we've seen a tank top, we've seen a basic cotton t-shirt, so we're already starting to see some of the versatility with the fitness industry and reflective materials. This jacket here is another option for showing kind of the things you can do with this product. And what I want to show next is being able to pair this as a set, maybe again for that same performance training company, and pairing it together with a pair of yoga pants or a pair of sweatpants to really bring the look completely together. So here was a 2-color design using that Fashion Reflect in black and then Premium Plus for a nice soft finish on the garment. And just to mention a little bit about the reflective products, Fashion Reflect actually has a pretty soft feel, so reflective finishes in general tend to have a little bit higher hand because of all the additives that are put into the reflective material. But this one, when you're doing fashion garments like the t-shirts, these thin performance garments, they do make a really nice feel on the item as well. Okay, so let's set that aside and we'll talk about pressing a pair of yoga pants. I'm going to actually switch out my 16 by 20 platen, and I'm going to drop in a leg and sleeve platen. So if you don't have a fusion heat press that allows you to use these interchangeable platens, what I recommend is purchasing a bunch of heat printing pillows that allows you some more versatility, and there's a heat printing pillow that's a leg and sleeve that would work well for this application as well. So this platen runs 6 inches wide, or 6 inches wide by 20 inches long. Make sure I got my pants loaded on the right side here. So I'm putting the logo on the front. So you want to be cautious to make sure your design will fit within this design element. If not, you'll have to do 2-step application. Also, I like to check my pressure before completely locking it down when I've changed a platen. Often you'll find if you're changing actual interchangeable platens in your heat press, that there will be a little variance in the pressure that you're applying them at. So always check that before you start your application. You can do that during the preheat, just like I've done here. So I'm actually going to pair together this next level design, and I'm going to use the black reflective just to kind of create a tone-on-tone effect on these black leggings. That's going to create a really, or on these black yoga pants. Again, they're lycra spandex polyester blend, so this product will stick just fine to it. And it's going to create a unique element because in the low light conditions or when they're outdoors, this logo is again going to shine in a silver reflective finish, yet on the daylight you're looking at a black finish there. And I'm also going to add some silver reflective down. So we're starting to see in the fitness industry a lot of reflective and unique locations on pants. And so we're seeing them striping down the side this direction. We see them go completely down the pant leg. We see them go halfway down the pant leg in the center here. We've seen them across the back of the leg. So in a bunch of different unique placements. And so you can get really creative with lines or different diagonal prints and customize pants for a variety of markets using cad-cut materials. I'm going to cover these up here, and I'm actually just going to press them together. And so if you remember some of the applications I've done so far, Fashion Reflect needs a 2-step application, two 5-second applications, whereas the 3M Reflective needs a full 10 seconds. So I'm just going to tack this down for 5 seconds. And 3M Reflective will actually let me peel the carrier back. So if I want to take this carrier off and cover them both up with the cover sheet and reseal, I certainly can, or I could leave that carrier on and just press it for another 5 seconds. I'll peel back my Fashion Reflex since it needs to pull the carrier off for its second tack. And you're seeing kind of that tone-on-tone effect that we're getting with that Fashion Reflect black directly on these black yoga pants. Make sure everything's covered before I press and seal for the last 5 seconds. And then once I seal that there, we have a completed personalized pant leg. And so I can take a pant leg like this and I can now pair it with its reflective properties with maybe a complementing jacket, and I can offer to sell these to the training company, the fitness company, and I can even sell them to their customers that are going to be outside running and doing these different events with them as well. So another opportunity when you're thinking about upselling and selling to your current customers that may be local businesses like a fitness company or a training company. All right, so looking back at some of the different things we can do with large events. One thing I mentioned in the beginning of this class, and I still hold very true, is the importance with printing for events, or being able to print on site at events and being able to just kind of capitalize on the heat of the moment and the event in itself. And we see that a lot with an opportunity with runs and walks. And so I want to show you how to print a few different locations for some examples on just a standard 100% polyester t-shirt. This one is from Sanmar, as are all of the garments that I've shown you so far today. So it's just an inexpensive polyester t-shirt. If I'm printing something like a reflective on a higher heat like I am here, and you're looking at about 320 degrees for 3M reflective, I tend to go towards performance fabrics that are a lighter color, so a gray, a white. What that's going to do is that's going to allow me to reduce anything that can happen with a higher heat where we see a lot of scorching on blacks or navies or darker colors. And so this will also create a really cool tonal effect with the silver and the gray. But it's always a good option when you're starting to think about printing and choosing garment colors for different markets if you're using the reflective on performance wear. So this is going to be a two-color alternative for me to pair together Premium Plus with the 3M reflective. And so just like you guys saw with a lot of the other designs I've shown you, I always like to line up my graphics together. That way I have my placement down where it needs to be. So I'm going about 3 inches down from the collar of my shirt here. I'm going to just tack that 3M reflective down first since it's a hot peel. It'll be easier for me to apply this first and then inlay my Premium Plus. So we'll tack this down for 5 seconds. Peel back that carrier, so I've got the nice cityscape for Run Chicago. And then I'm going to inlay my cad-cut Premium Plus. Now, if you're not doing a whole lot of these, I'll press this first and then I'll make my statement. But Premium Plus applies, again, I'll just do the full 8 to 10 seconds. So if you're not doing a whole lot of these, using the cad-cut method that we're seeing here with Premium Plus and reflective makes a lot of sense. If you get into higher quantities, there's a few alternatives that I like to consider. And I'll show you a few different print locations we can do on this item to be able to still get the reflective on there, still upsell the garment at a higher price because it has that reflective finish, but cut my costs in certain areas and really speed up the process if you're doing a ton of designs for a run or a walk in this. So let's say I have my marathon design with Run Chicago. I have an opportunity, if I want to use the reflective still, I could certainly just cut and weed the reflective designs and then screen print or use a screen printed transfer for the Run Chicago. That's an alternative. Another alternative I like to consider would be to just do a standard one color print on the front here, keep it inexpensive, and make this your event t-shirt. So let's say I order screen printed transfers from Transfer Express and print the front as a one color. I can then offer additional personalization at the event with maybe their time from the run. So if they want to buy the shirt after the event or buy a jacket after the event to remember that they were there, I can now go ahead and add some additional personalization elements throughout the item. And so one way to do that would be to add their time in a unique location. So I kind of like this lower back placement. And a reflective, it adds that reflective finish. So if they're going to wear this afterwards, running maybe outdoors, especially at the fall, so this is a really good time to start going after this market because, of course, time's going to change and we're going to see a lot of low light conditions in the morning and the evening when people often run. So it's very quick and easy if I take a heat press and a vinyl cutter to the event to quickly cut and weed out their time and then just personalize the back. So you could take orders there and turn them out very quickly. And so it's a great way to generate more add-on sales by charging for that little bit of personalization in addition to their t-shirt they're buying. So I've added that reflective finish on the back here again with their time for the race and the walk. And if I wanted to add some more unique placements, I could really even choose to print the sleeve or different areas on the item, on the garment, maybe the back shoulder placement here with different times or things they want to commemorate, maybe a name, maybe a hashtag. I mean, they can get very creative with how they want to personalize their own run and walk apparel. Also pairing together the t-shirt for the man with a pair of shorts. I'm going to press a pair of mesh shorts and talk a little bit about how to press them and some considerations for a deep mesh like this here. I'm actually going to switch out my platen again to a 6x10. Of course, if you don't have a platen, you would definitely want to use a pillow. When I press a deep mesh like this, what you'll notice is that if I just press this right here on top of the layers, the adhesive from my heat transfer would actually seep through the holes, and it's going to go back to the undershorts layer. And actually, these are so thin it probably could go through both of those and maybe stick a little bit of the short together. So I want to separate the mesh from the liner in the shorts. So I'm going to lift out my 16x20 platen and drop in my 6x10. Now I can line my shorts up, separating those two layers, so now you can see just the mesh holes and the platen are on their own. I can line up making sure my shorts are in the right position with the seam here, and I'm far enough over towards the side of the short. I'll preheat and check my pressure. Since I changed that platen, it may need increased or decreased a little bit. I'm going to take that same Run Chicago logo that we had earlier on the t-shirt, line that up on the bottom of my shorts here, and a small left leg placement, and press for the full 10 seconds needed for 3M reflective. So this gives you some ideas as you're starting to think about merchandise and ways to sell to maybe runners or walkers at actual events or locations. And like I said, we're starting to see a lot of fitness runners looking for custom apparel to even wear to the run. So of course there's obviously a t-shirt that's usually given out at a lot of these events, or something like a bag that's commemorated, that's printed, that has their run, but we're seeing a lot of people wanting their own custom apparel. Maybe it's got a nickname on there, maybe it's got a funny saying, and being able to add the reflective just adds a little bit more of a high-end way to personalize and print these items. In keeping up with the trends, the last garment I want to print and talk a lot about is sourcing garments that have reflective. And so we've seen within the last probably year or two, a lot of reflective garments hit the market. Of course, we saw it start with companies like Under Armour or Nike, where the reflectives were manufactured throughout the blank item. And then last year, we actually saw OGIO come out with a lot of different garments that have reflective. And so this zip-up jacket, which is a polyester performance jacket, comes in a few different colors, so you don't have to get the safety yellow color if you want something that's a little bit more mainstream, maybe a gray or a blue. And it has the reflective completely down this quarter zip here. And then you'll see how they've added a lot of reflective elements to the back in unique locations. And so not only is this shirt vented throughout the back of the item, but it has that reflective. And so if somebody's running, it adds that little bit extra reflective to the item. Of course, the color of this, if you're creating fitness apparel, will make them stand out as well. Always good to have that versus maybe a black if they're out in low light conditions as a shirt, because it's easier to see some bright colors as you're sourcing blanks in different garments. So I'm going to load all of this on my 6x10 platen here. Got a nice flat print area. Once I have everything, all the seams and everybody off, I can preheat to get rid of some of the moisture and wrinkles. Now the 6x10 platen that I'm using works really well for this because I have this reflective here that I would want to cover up that decoration if it was underneath the heat press. The zipper on this is also plastic. So being able to have this 6x10 will allow me to print this item effectively without burning anything. If I didn't have a 6x10 platen, the way I would print this would be using a heat printing pillow within the item to get a flat print surface across the seam and the zipper. And then also I want to cover just the zipper and the reflective elements with what they call a flexible application pad. That way it doesn't destroy or inhibit any of the application of the transfer, but it'll protect the zipper and the reflective from melting underneath the heat of the heat press. I'll line up my new design here. And just for reference before I press this, since some of you may be sitting there thinking, what's a flexible application pad? It tends to be a very thin gray cover sheet. And so we've chopped ours up for a few applications here, but you would notice that it would be about 18 inches by 20 inches, so the size of your large platen with a little overhang. Very thick, very stretchy, so it's similar kind of to a very thin version, silicone version of what you see that's actually the gray part on the bottom of your platen, but it helps to protect that heat from scorching anything. So this design here I have is actually for a bike run or a cycling event. And aside from runners and walkers and just custom fitness apparel in general, biking and cycling is also a really popular industry that we see a lot of people going after, and there's a big opportunity to print for the custom apparel for events, as well as just custom cycling apparel and biking apparel for customers. Since I'm using 3M reflective here, I'm going to press this for 10 seconds at 320 degrees. I quickly peel that back hot, so I've got my left chest logo. Those colors are almost very hard to see on the computer there, but of course close up you're seeing just a metallic silver directly onto a yellow garment. And so when I think about pricing some of these items, and I'll go back to the table so we can talk a little bit some of the things we've printed and ways to reach these markets. But when I think about starting to print a lot of these items that are available to marketers and things that we can print and do, I look at opportunity and what I can sell these for and how I'm going to position this. And so I recommend positioning this as an extra kind of special effect option. And so, if you're not currently selling to fitness apparel and athletic apparel, like I said, it's a big market and there's a lot of opportunity with it. And so first off, I would definitely try to find those customers. Some different ways you can do that. You can tap into your current customer base and maybe just create a few sample garments, put them in your showroom, throw them out in an email to your customers if you email them new products, and let them know you have maybe some new designs or some new product offerings. You may find that the same people that you're selling school apparel to also have a hobby outside of it that's fitness apparel and they want some custom t-shirts. And so that's an opportunity there once they see what you're able to do by creating some of these samples. Also being able to take targeted ads out. And so I know a lot of decorators we talk to today have Facebook pages for their business. And there's an opportunity if you have a Facebook page for your business to maybe take some photos, share them on your page with your current customer base, and then also take that same post and maybe boost it or share it out to people that have an interest in the activities of fitness or running or cycling. And so you can target them and let them know you now offer these custom t-shirts, and then as it sparks an interest with some of the cool designs, you'll see orders come flowing in. So those are some ways to find those types of custom t-shirt customers. Now when I find them, I think about positioning my pricing in two different ways. You can certainly sell fitness apparel to any of those customers that just has a standard heat transfer vinyl on it. So something maybe like a Premium Plus that we saw paired here with Fashion Reflect or a fashion film or even a screen print if you're printing a lot of them and selling maybe a stock design. So I could certainly sell that, but then I could offer an upgraded version where they could add Fashion Reflect throughout the design and get a reflective element. And you want to position that as a premium finish because, for one, it's going to cost you more, so you want to be able to account for the difference. But it really is a premium finish. They're getting a design that now is retro-reflective that will help stand out from in low light conditions. So if they're running outdoors in the early morning hours or in the evening, they're now getting that safety. And so you want to definitely sell on the element and the benefits of a reflective product. It gives them safety. Or keeps them safe. It gives them that reflective element that's needed. That's why companies like Nike and Under Armour launched so much fitness apparel a year or two ago, is because they saw a need for being able to sell products that kept people safe, that were outdoors in their active lifestyles. And so you can do that as well with custom prints and funny logos and ways to kind of take their image to the next level. And being able to put it on a simple garment like maybe just a basic 50-50 t-shirt or an inexpensive polyester dry fit tank top. It allows you to be able to still give that safety element, but still keep the cost low for custom t-shirts versus maybe a premium retailer that's custom made the entire garment with some reflective in it. Also, I like to think about some of the runs and the walks. So I talked a little bit about, marathons and races, and we printed the t-shirt with some multiple print locations. So again, this is where I think about contacting people in your area. So if you're trying to stay within a local area, I would look at the large cities within your location, maybe larger cities within, an hour and a half or 2 or 3 hour radius. There are, within the last few years, a ton of what we call charity walks or runs that have really expanded in areas. And so it may not be that huge Chicago marathon that happens every year that has thousands of people, but maybe there's a local 5K or 3 or 4 local 5Ks that bring in 100 people per event. And all of those events offer additional opportunities for you to go after them. If they're coming up soon, you would certainly want to contact, or coming up soon, you would want to definitely contact and make sure they've got their shirts and everything they need. If they've already passed, normally these types of organizations will plan their events for next year, and so there's no hurt in contacting them and finding out when's a good time for them to, when they place their orders, when's a good time for you to reach back out. And even if they've got a supplier that supplies their actual race t-shirts, there's opportunities for you to print at the event. Sometimes it's just getting creative in the way you position what you can offer them. So maybe their event t-shirts are taken care of, but you'd like to try to come and sell merchandise at the event and maybe give them a kickback towards the sales, or offer a fee for setting up a tent in a location at the event. So that way they're able to get some benefit of you being there, but then you're also able to test the waters and see if you're able to really bring in some additional sales from these events. And so there's a lot of different markets you can reach, whether it's custom fitness apparel or athletic running apparel or cycling apparel at events. I'm obviously a big fan of just being able to start printing some samples and really showing people what you're able to do. Karen, have I gotten any questions that have came in throughout? Okay, perfect. So if you have questions, we're getting ready to wrap up, so go ahead and type those in now. I'll recap some of the products that we did show here. So keep in mind, there are multiple reflectives you can use. All of these are available to be used on a vinyl cutter as well as with a heat press. The 3M reflective, which was the silver reflective that I had used throughout the class, this is that product that's going to be the most expensive and the most premium simply because it has that ANSI certifications. Now, of course, if you're stocking this for your running apparel, I recommend also looking and calling into the municipalities and the police departments and fire departments in your area and trying to drum up some business while you're stocking that product on the shelves anyways. But this one is very easy to use, which is why I tend to go more towards it. It has that quick application with a hot peel carrier, also a sticky backing if you get into a lot of detail, which makes it easier for weeding. There are, however, economy versions of reflective, so they call it a cad-cut reflective if you go to Stahls.com. Inexpensive and a great option for fitness apparel as well. And that one's very similar to the Fashion Reflex, the black that we used, not on this one, this one's Premium Plus, but in the black we used throughout the session. So on this t-shirt here or on those yoga pants, Fashion Reflect comes in, I believe, 8 to 10 different colors. So you've got your reds, your blues, green, yellow, and a variety of shades there. And it's, again, another inexpensive reflective, has a soft, lightweight hand, so it feels really comfortable on a lot of these fitness garments. And of course, they can all be paired with your favorite heat transfer vinyls or even screen printing if you want to pair together some different items there. And so hopefully throughout today you've got some ideas for what you can do as far as print locations and designs on the garments, as well as some ways to sell to the reflective market and diving into the fitness apparel industry, because it's a profitable one and one that I think that will make your business successful and add a successful revenue stream to your business. This has been Courtney Kibitza with Stahls TV. Thanks for watching.